welcome to today's video. I've got some really magical DIYs, so let's get straight in. And I am going to be using a teacup. I love making these miniature scenes in teacups, and I think this is wonderful to gift as well. You can make it to sell or you can make it as decor. I also love going to the thrift shops for these teacups, so I am actually going to take some cardboard first, flip my cup over, and we're going to draw the outline so we know how much we need to cut. So I've got my pencil. It's actually going to need to be a little smaller than the outline, so this is a rough estimate really. So as you can see, I'm just cutting around the outline in the inside as I need it to be smaller. Now I'm going to take my hot glue and just glue onto the outside of the cup. Just go along the cardboard. And then have a look at what you want inside your cup. I've taken some trees, we'll see what fits. And I've got a snowman and this lovely vintage lamppost. I'm going to start with the trees at the back. This came with a base which I have taken off, and I'm just going to try to get that through the cardboard as it's wire. There we go. And then take the smaller one and we'll do the same. And of course you don't need to secure these now with hot glue. And that fits perfectly. But before we go in further, I'm just going to take some filler and we're going to use this as snow. Mine's a little clumpy, so I'm just going to add some water to it. And now I'm just adding it to the cardboard. We want to make sure all of that brown is covered. And again, mine is still a little bit lumpy, but I was actually going for a consistency like this. I don't want it to look too smooth. This is a bit more realistic. As you can see, I'm also adding it to the cup on the sides. So here's my cup. I've filled it with snow now, and I'm going to add some glitter just to make it look a bit realistic. And it also adds that bit of magic as well. And now I'm going to finish adding the ornaments. And then I'm going to take my saucer, place the cup in the middle. Make sure it's well aligned, and then I'm going to add this red bow on the handle. And then we're also going to work on the saucer, doing the same thing with the fake snow. Now I'm not going to cover it entirely, just a little on the edges. So as you can see, I've added the snow just on the front side, not the back. Again, just going in with some glitter. And then I think I'm going to add two small gifts on the side, just placing them in the snow. As I mentioned, this is one of my favourite things to do. I love miniatures, teacups, cloches, jars. I don't know, there's just something so magical about these small worlds, especially during Christmas and winter time. It doesn't cost much at all and it's so fun and easy to make. I definitely recommend giving this a try, not just for decor but as a gift, and definitely if you make to sell. For the next project, I'm using this side cut book, and I found this robin. I really love it. We're going to take half a bauble and place it on top of your design. You can just print something off the internet. I'm just going to make sure that I'm happy with where I want the bauble and the image beneath it. And I'm going to again just take my pencil and draw along the bauble. So just as I'm doing that, I wanted to mention today's video is part of our monthly collaboration. You know these girls are talented, they've got some ideas for you, so make sure you check out in the playlist, it's pinned in my comments. Then grab your scissors and cut it out. Now I'm going to take some berries to add to the image. I've got these, I think they're a nice shade, a bit of orange, a bit of yellow and some red, and it's also a really nice size. So I'm taking 3 in total, and we're going to just hot glue them down like this. keep trying to get away. I'm also going to add a little bit to it using some real sticks as I just got from my garden. Now I need to stick the bauble onto the card, so I'm going to add a little hot glue all along it, and I'm going to have to be as fast as I can with this because hot glue just sets so quickly. And now we're going to work on decorating the outside. So I'm taking some trim. I've got this pom-pom one, and I don't usually like pom-poms, but this is actually quite nice. I have tried it off camera. I think because it's a small amount and it just works perfectly. Look at that. So I'm just going to add hot glue again and secure that on. And of course we're going to add a bow to the top. I was going to add this, but it's way too big. The poor robin gets a little bit hidden, so I'm going to go with this smaller one. And I think I'm going to gift this to my neighbour. I just thought of a really cool idea, but I've now secured it so I can't go back and do it. But I would add a little bit of artificial snow, like the actual, you can add salt, or the plastic one that you can buy in a tub, and then that way it'll be like a little shaker too. I'm just going to take this foam, like it's very glittery and red, goes with it. This is only because I'm gifting it and I don't like the finish at the back. So I'm just drawing along it again, and I'm going to cut it out, stick it to the back. It will be a little big, so I am going to just use it as an outline and just cut inside the circle. And then finally I'm going to just thread this through so that she can hang it on her tree. A little hot glue has gone inside, so just need to get rid of that. And we're going to cut this to make it a bit sharper. This is such a cute little ornament. I really hope that my neighbour likes it. Have you ever made your own ornaments? Let me know in the comments. I think it's just so much more special than buying them from the shop. And what's even better is that you can personalise it however you like, so you can match it to your theme. So for the next project, I'm taking this boot which I thrifted, and I am going to paint it. We're going to go with like the Santa boot, so red and then white at the top. I've got a sponge brush because I feel like it just applies the paint surfaces a lot easier, and it also dries quicker too. So here's my red boot. As you can see, I've left the top for the white paint. I'm just going to dry this now with my hot air gun. Now let's add the white paint to the top. Here's my boot all dry. I'm going to add some tinsel inside, trying to keep with the colours, and also it ends up being that I think I'm going with a vintage theme. You can place whatever you want in your boot. I did have a long play off camera. I tried all sorts of animals, and it just felt like because it's a boot, mice would be the best bet. And I know some people don't find these kind of animals cute, but like I said, it really just seemed like it fitted best. So I've got two here, one on the outside and one in the inside. We're going to add some berries inside, just beside the two mice. I think they're actually supposed to be rats, but I will just go with mice because I think mice are much cuter. Rats do scare me, mice don't. Taking a twig, and this was from my die cut book, The Warm Wishes. Going to add that onto the twig. Again, just a drop of hot glue. And we're going to add this just beside the mice. I've added two trees just to make use of the space, one ivory one and one green one. And then I also want to add a small wooden star just to the branch here. And I've got a small gap here. I'm just going to add a bit of baby's breath there. I think this has come out so adorable. It just makes me smile looking at it, and I know for sure that this would be very expensive on Etsy. Things like this just sell so well. But of course, let me know what you all think of this project in the comments. Now, one of my favourite things is making projects in jars. So I'm going to start off with adding faux snow in the jar. Again, this is a wonderful gift and doesn't cost much at all to make. I'm going to add a house. I want to add some trees at the back. Got a smaller one here. And then I will also add a little deer. Make some space for him. And then of course we need some fairy lights. And then you can place your lid on top and you have the access for the battery pack right at the back here. I am going to add a bow to the jar, and I have been going with reds, but my personal favourite is actually neutrals. I find it so funny that Leo got picked up on the mic. You know, he was downstairs. He's got a pretty big mouth and he is so attached to me. It is quite stressful sometimes trying to craft because he just wants constant attention and he wants to sit on my lap. But I am so happy with this craft. I honestly think it's one of my favourites today. For the last project, I want to make some art. So I've got a small canvas here, and this is going to be like mixed media. First, I'm going to add some of this. I love that it's sticky. I've never found one like this before. I can't even remember where I purchased it from either. So I'm just going to use it to cover some of the white on the canvas. So this is how it looks at the moment. This is just our foundation. Now I'm going to go in with some paint, just taking my sponge brush and some acrylic. I'm just going to go over this. I'm going to make it look a bit more vintage and rustic. I've got these beautiful sheets. I think I'm going to take this one here. I don't like to use scissors because I find it too neat for things like this. Just as my hot glue is here, I find it a little bit quicker to just hot glue these pieces down. Again, just taking a bit of white paint to go over the edges. This just helps blend the elements together really. Takes away from the sharpness of the edges. I've got my die cut book back out and I've got this tree and I'm going to add that here, and the main thing with this is basically just to build it up. Kind of looks bad, sometimes even bad at the beginning, but you just have to keep going and also enjoy the process. So we want to use different mediums. I've got a wooden topper and then we're going to add that here, and you see what I mean by layering it. It has these foam pads and I don't want to give it that dimension, so I'm just taking it off. Now I've got another little piece for my die cut. It says Winter Fairy Tale. That's going to go right under here. I'm going to give it a small border this way. So I'm going to have to do a voiceover over the rest of my video. I was recording and I didn't realise that my mic had died. Technical issues. But yeah, I got this piece of paper which was, as you can see, I used it in a previous project. So it's kind of like a scrap piece and I felt like that just looked really good there. It was the right size as well. So I just stuck that down. And Leo is with me while I'm editing this. So if you hear a cat purring, it's not in your imagination. That was him saying hello to you all. So I took another piece out of my die cut book. Honestly, I love this book. There's so many different things like the backgrounds and then the smaller elements. I really love it. So yeah, I just took my hot glue again and I'm filling in the spaces. That's all I'm doing here. I felt like I had used enough paper for now, so I really wanted to add a little bit more material, again just to help with that layering. So I went into my drawer and I found some lace. I really liked this. It went with the colours. I had a play around and then once I was happy I cut its size and then stuck it down. Of course I did try some things off camera and it just didn't work. I usually do that and then I just come to you when I have made a decision about what I want in there and where. So I started working at the top of the canvas. You can definitely see where I had cut the paper and I didn't like that, so I wanted to cover it up. I went in again to my drawer, found some lovely ribbon. Don't think I've used this one before, and it says handmade with love. I just cut it so that there's just that saying and it doesn't repeat. Once I was happy, I stuck it down with my hot glue and I went back into my die cut book, found this lovely heart, and I thought it would look wonderful in this frame. The frame was in my stash and I just felt like it really complements the wooden stag, and again just helps with the layering and also all the different mediums that we're using. And of course you can leave these plain, the embellishments that you add on, you can paint them, you can even use a paint acrylic pen, you just have more control I feel with it. But I really love taking stamps to add colour to things like this because I do quite like them plain. I really like the wood still showing, and what the stamps do is it just kind of acts like a stain, so you can still see the wood, which is beautiful, but it gives it a little bit of colour. I took my hot glue and I glued the heart inside the frame, and then again just taking the hot glue to secure the frame onto the canvas. I found this lovely paper bow in the die cut book and I felt like that would look really lovely in the corner. Again, just to build up interest on the piece and the layering and then the different mediums, I took this stencil. It's like italic script, I really love it. And then you need some modelling paste. I also use this tool to apply it. It's like icing a cake. I really enjoy doing this part. So you basically squeeze a little of the modelling paste on the tool and then take your tool and scrape it on the stencil. Of course, you want to make sure all of the modelling paste gets into the gaps of the stencil. And then this is how it looks. I always love the reveal. You always have to be very careful not to smudge it and wait for it to dry. You could still see a white gap under the handmade with love trim, so I took this ribbon and I cut its size and stuck that down. I found this star with joy written on from my die cut book, and I decided this will be the last thing that I add. And then just to finalize, I went in with my gold ink on the edges just to give it a bit of color and take off again the sharp edges. So here it is. What do you think? Is this the first time you've seen a mixed media piece? And if you've never made one, will you give it a go? Honestly, it's so addictive. I absolutely love making these. When I feel in the art therapy mood, this is always my go-to. So as a reminder, this is all of today's projects. Of course, you have to let me know your favorite in the comments below. I always love reading your comments. And don't forget to check out the playlist I mentioned earlier. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. Until the next video, take care of yourselves. Bye.